Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'd love it if you could leave a comment letting me know where you're listening from around the world. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this video. Story 1. I still don't know why I stopped. I tell myself it was instinct, some last shred of humanity in a world that had long since turned cold. But deep down, I think it was something else. Something I don't want to name. It was a long drive home from my grandmother's house. 3 hours through empty back roads. The kind of roads where the dark feels heavier, like it's pressing in on you. The rain had been falling steady for hours, turning the asphalt slick and whispering against my windshield. The only sounds inside my car were the hum of the engine and the occasional rhythmic squeak of the wipers. I was somewhere in the second hour of my drive when I saw her. At first, she was just a smudge in the distance, a pale shape against the black night. But as I got closer, she became more defined, a young woman standing on the side of the road, waving one limp hand. Her dress was white, clinging to her thin frame, soaked through from the rain. Her long, dark hair was plastered to her face, hiding most of it. I should have kept driving. Every instinct in my body was screaming at me to just keep going, to pretend I hadn't seen her. But my hands betrayed me, easing off the gas, guiding the car to the shoulder. Before I knew what I was doing, I was rolling down my window, just enough for my voice to slip through. "Are you okay? Do you need a ride?" She nodded. No hesitation, just a slow, mechanical dip of her chin. She didn't shiver, though the night was cold. She didn't hesitate, just walked around to the passenger side. But at the last second, she veered toward the back. I heard the soft click of the door opening, and then she was inside. I should have checked. I should have turned around to look at her. But I didn't. Instead, I stared at the road ahead, feeling the weight of her presence behind me. The smell of wet fabric and something else, something old, something rotten, filled the car. My hands felt slick on the wheel. I cleared my throat. "Where are you headed?" Silence. I glanced in the rearview mirror. She was staring straight ahead, unblinking. My skin prickled. Something about her face didn't look right. Maybe it was the way the shadows played against her features. Or maybe it was something deeper, something wrong. I forced my eyes back on the road. Minutes passed. The rain seemed to grow heavier, pounding against the roof, drowning out the silence between us. My pulse was a drum in my ears. I checked the mirror again. She was gone. My breath caught in my throat. My foot hit the brake before my brain caught up, and the car skidded on the wet pavement. The tires screamed, and I jerked the wheel to keep from spinning out. When I finally came to a stop, my breath was coming fast and shallow. I turned around. The back seat was empty. The door was still locked. There were no wet footprints, no lingering scent of rain-soaked fabric, not even a single drop of water on the seat. I wasn't alone. I could feel it. Something was still here. A slow, suffocating pressure built in my chest, as if something unseen was watching, waiting. The air inside the car felt wrong. Heavy, thick, like I was breathing in something that wasn't supposed to be there. I didn't wait to find out more. I slammed my foot on the gas, tires screeching against the pavement. My car fishtailed before gripping the road, and I took off, refusing, absolutely refusing, to look in the mirror again. I don't remember the rest of the drive home. I must have been running on pure adrenaline, because the next thing I knew, I was pulling into my driveway, my knuckles white from gripping the wheel. I barely slept that night. The next morning, I told my grandmother. I thought she'd laugh, tell me I was overtired, tell me I imagined the whole thing. But she didn't. Instead, she went pale. Her wrinkled hands trembled as she reached for her rosary. "Where did you see her?" she asked. I told her. She closed her eyes, whispering something under her breath. "That poor girl," she murmured. "She died on that road 10 years ago. She's still trying to get home." A cold chill ran through me. I wanted to believe she was joking, but the way her voice shook told me otherwise. That night, I locked my bedroom door. I didn't sleep, and I haven't driven that road since. Story 2. I used to be a truck driver. Long haul. The kind of job that makes you see things, sometimes real, sometimes the ghost of exhaustion creeping into your mind at 3 a.m. You spend enough nights on the road, and you start to wonder if the highway has its own kind of life. Something lurking beyond the edges of the asphalt. Something watching. This happened about 6 years ago on a lonely stretch of highway cutting through the Arizona desert. It was the kind of place where the night swallowed everything whole. No streetlights, no towns, just the endless black ribbon of road stretching ahead. I had my CB radio on, but the channel was dead. No chatter, just the occasional crackle of static. That was fine. I liked the quiet. Then I saw him. At first, he was just a smudge in my headlights, a dark shape on the side of the road. But as I got closer, my stomach tightened. A man. He was standing in the ditch, waist deep in the dirt, perfectly still, like he had been planted there. His skin was pale, too pale, and his eyes were wide, reflecting the glow of my headlights like an animal caught in the dark. His mouth was slightly open, as if he'd been frozen mid-scream. I slowed down without thinking, my truck rumbling in protest. What the hell was he doing out here? There were no cars, no broken-down vehicle, no sign that he had walked to this spot. And how the hell was he buried waist-deep in the ground? I squinted, trying to see if there was a sinkhole, a collapsed patch of desert sand. But the dirt around him was solid, undisturbed. That's when he moved. His head snapped toward me, too fast, like someone had hit rewind on a tape. 1 second, he was staring ahead. The next, his eyes were locked onto mine. And then he grinned. A slow, stretching grin that didn't look right on his face. Something deep in my gut screamed at me to get the hell out of there. I slammed my foot down on the gas. My truck roared forward, tires skidding on the asphalt as I sped past him. I looked in my mirror. He was gone. The ditch was empty. I blinked. No, he had to be there. He'd just been there. I glanced at the road ahead, gripping the wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. My heart was still hammering in my chest when I finally dared to check the mirror again. And that's when I saw him. Not in the ditch. Not standing. Running. On all fours. He was chasing my truck, his hands and feet slamming against the asphalt in a way no human should be able to move. His grin was still stretched wide, his mouth too big, too open, his teeth, too many of them. I swear to God, he was catching up. My rig was doing at least 65, and that thing was closing the distance. Its body was jerking, moving wrong, like a puppet with half its strings cut. I slammed the accelerator. The whole truck shuddered as the speedometer crept toward 80. The wheels roared against the road. I didn't care about speed limits, didn't care about cops. I just wanted to get away. For a few horrible seconds, I could still hear it. That wet, slapping sound of hands and feet hitting the pavement. Then, just as suddenly as it started, silence. I risked a glance at the mirror. Nothing. Just my taillights cutting through the empty road behind me. I kept driving. Didn't slow down. Didn't breathe properly until I saw the lights of a truck stop, glowing in the distance like a beacon. I pulled in fast, parking haphazardly between two semis. My hands were shaking. My throat was dry. I climbed out, trying to steady my breath, and walked inside. The smell of old coffee and diesel filled the air. There were a few other truckers sitting at the counter, hunched over their plates like tired vultures. I must have looked like hell, because one of the older guys eyed me and said, "You all right, son?" I swallowed. I saw something. On the road. He didn't ask what. He just stared at me for a long moment, then gave a slow nod. "You saw him too, huh?" My stomach dropped. What would he mean? That guy in the ditch. The old trucker exhaled, shaking his head. "That ain't a man." He took a sip of his coffee. "That thing's been out there for years." I wanted to ask more, but my mouth wouldn't work. The other truckers said nothing, just kept eating like this was old news, like they had all seen him before. I never took that route again. Story 3. I work late nights, and I always take the same road home. It's long, empty, and lined with abandoned farmland. No houses, no gas stations, no streetlights. Just open fields that stretch in a blackness on both sides, like the world simply drops off beyond them. I don't like driving it, but it's the fastest way home. At that hour, around 2 a.m., it's usually just me in the road. Sometimes a truck will pass, its headlights cutting through the dark like a lighthouse beam, but most nights I'm alone, or at least I thought I was. It happened 6 months ago, a Thursday. I remember because I had stayed late to finish up work, and my boss gave me a knowing nod when I left, like he felt bad for keeping me. It had rained earlier that evening, and the road was still wet, the pavement gleaming in my headlights. The air smelled like damp earth. That's when I saw the car. It was far behind me at first, just a pair of weak, flickering headlights in the mirror. I wouldn't have thought anything of it, except that the lights didn't stay steady. They pulsed, like a candle struggling to stay lit. I kept glancing at it as I drove, and each time I looked, it was closer, closer, too close. By the time I really started paying attention, it was practically kissing my bumper. A black car, old, looked like something from the 70s. The chrome grille glinted under my brake lights, and the hood was so close I could count the raindrops beating on it. I gripped the wheel and tapped my brakes. Not hard, just enough to signal back off, asshole. It didn't back off, didn't even slow down. The road stretched out ahead, long and empty. I moved into the other lane, giving the car room to pass. My tires hissed over the wet pavement. The black car didn't pass. It didn't slow down, didn't change lanes, didn't do anything. It just vanished. 1 second, it was there, and the next, it wasn't. I blinked, checked the mirrors, checked again, gone. I swallowed hard, my pulse hammering in my throat. Maybe I was imagining things. Maybe I was just tired. Yeah, that had to be it. It had been a long night, and the dark does weird things to your eyes. I took a breath and pressed on the gas. Just get home. A mile passed, then another. That's when I saw it again. Not in my mirror this time. Ahead of me. It was parked on the side of the road, just past a dead tree that stretched its gnarled branches toward the sky like skeletal fingers. The black car sat there, still as a corpse, its flickering headlights spilling weak yellow light onto the wet pavement. A lump formed in my throat. There was no way it could have gotten ahead of me. My foot hovered over the brake, but something in my gut screamed, "Don't stop." I tightened my grip on the wheel and kept going, my eyes locked on the car as I passed. At the last second, I dared to look inside. There was no one there. The driver's seat was empty. The engine was running, but no one sat behind the wheel. No shadow, no movement. Just an open door leading into blackness. I didn't have time to process it. I hit the gas, speeding down that empty road like the devil was on my heels. My breath came fast, my hands slick with sweat against the steering wheel. The rest of the drive was a blur. I kept glancing in the rear view, half expecting to see those flickering headlights behind me again. But they never came. Not that night, anyway. The next morning, I told myself I had imagined it. That exhaustion had played tricks on me. That old cars could stall out on the side of the road. But deep down I knew that car was never really there. It's been 6 months now, and every once in a while, when I drive that same road late at night, I see a pair of faint, flickering headlights in the distance, waiting